Welcome back, guys. It is Kibbs from the Brothers Geek Out podcast. I've got another awesome episode for you guys, and I've got a special guest. I've got Rob on. We've known each other for a while now. We've been following each other for a. He's an amazing, amazing filmmaker, but he's a fan. He's a fan of Ghostbusters, and we're going to talk Ghostbusters. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually pretty excited since they released the trailer for the new movie.
Yes. So you've got a reaction recorded, haven't you?
I do, and
Okay. So,
I've never done one before either. So it was like,
oh,
I
interesting.
we'll see how this goes. I mean, it's because I don't know how I'm gonna, it's like I feel like you're supposed to like emote and like overreact, and I'm not great at that.
Uh, not
The
really. You'd be fine because, like, I think with reaction videos, a lot of it is kind of put on. I mean, with mine, it's the same thing. Was I supposed to be excited for that moment or not? It's one of those things. But I can react to something very differently to how somebody else would react to it. So, uh, what I would say, if you send me that clip, and then at the end of the podcast, guys, and that means you guys will have to go listen to this. Sorry, you have to go watch this on the YouTube to see Rob's reaction to
first reaction I've ever done.
awesome. First one, that's an exclusive for us as well. Look at this. I've been absolutely blessed with loads of exclusives recently. But Rob's a filmmaker as well. You've been in it for a long time now. Like what was it that drew you to get into that path?
Well, that path started when I was literally 2 years old.
Okay.
So I saw the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater was E.T.
Hmm.
And I fell in love. It's my first like memory that I have of being a child. Like I was 2 years old. My mom took me to the theater to see it. I remember the smell of the theater. I remember the way I felt, the sounds, the feel of the seat underneath my behind, the whole thing. And I fell in love and it transported. I was 2 years old. I can't even believe that I remember it, but I remember it like it was yesterday. And ever since I had wanted to do that, to become a filmmaker, and I was a musician for the better part of 15 years. I was a singer in a band and I produced bands. I had a modicum amount of success, a little bit of success with it. And it just wasn't like fulfilling me. And I
Hmm.
was about to turn 33 and I had always wanted to be a filmmaker. It's something that I had like, it was close to my heart. Like I could talk for hours about movies and just analyze and break them down and stuff. And my best friend Eric, at the time, he was working in movies. He was a cinematographer, and he said, "You know what, man? Just come with me. Come with me on some sets. I'll show you what's up. I'll show you how to do it and what the deal is." And he did, and the bug bit me even harder, and I fell in love with it. And I started doing short films, doing music videos. Any time anyone would let me, film anything, I was like, "I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it." And I slowly built work and got a repertoire of stuff going, and then I was like, well, I want to make a movie. So I made my first film. It's called Long Way to the Top. It's about being a musician. It was a documentary about being a musician and sort of like what it takes to like do it like as a
Hmm.
job. So it's mostly about the road. So I went on tour with a bunch of bands and followed them and filmed them, and then Red Bull picked that up, and now that's you can see it on Red Bull TV. It's there, and I've been in love with this ever since, and getting ready to make my next movie.
I know it's absolutely amazing, and sounds like an amazing journey. I mean, going from, I mean, as a creative, we touch on different things. Like the same thing for me. I think I stopped art for like 15, 16 years, and that was me at 16. I got into college. I discovered the bad sins of the world, and I moved away from comic books and artwork, which uh, until I was 30. But I dabbled. I did photography. I always did something creative. It was photography, production and music. It was video making and editing. Uh, I learned a lot about kind of the film industry as well in that era as well. But I came back to art when I was about 30, and I had a tragic moment in life, which I won't go over. And went back to my mum's, and went. I was like, "You kept all of my stuff," and she was like, "Of course, this is your stuff." And I found images and drawings that I did of when I was like 15, 16 years old of the X-Men, and I was like, "Yeah, this was amazing." I was like, "How do I get this back?" And I spent the next 3 days in mum's loft drawing. Like it all came back. I bought marker pens, paper, read more comic books in that moment, and it just kind of flooded back to me. And for me, I bit the bug in that moment to become an artist again in physical, traditional, and digital art.
That's that. It's interesting because that you bring up tragedy setting you off in a direction. I think it heals so much with creation and being able to like have control over something, right? Like when your world feels really chaotic and things are out of your control, the simple act of creating something gives you power back in a lot
Of
of ways.
course,
It makes you feel strong. It makes you feel like you can handle things because if you can control that one little thing in your life, like what else can you handle? And for me, the movie that I'm about to make next, it's been a long journey to get here. You're a part of it. We'll talk about that if you want to a little bit. We can talk about some of it. But that journey started in about 2016 to get this film
mm,
made because my first film, I sold it in 2015. I was getting ready to make my second film, and we were in pre-production. For the movie we're doing, it requires a lot of like work and a lot of research and stuff. So I knew it was going to be a few years journey until we got to the part we were filming. But we had started that journey in 2016. My cinematographer Eric, my best friend, who got me into filmmaking and believed in me when nobody else did, and said, "Dude, you can sing. Why do you want to change? Why do you want to jump into a different river right now? Like you're in this river and things are going great." He believed in me, and during the process of pre-production for this next movie, he passed away of a heart attack uh, very suddenly at the age of 36, and it devastated my world. Obviously, we put the movie on hold, and then COVID happened.
mm.
So like so many things in my life were out of control. So I went back to my first love, which was, I went back to creating things. I went back to making things. And I fell back in love with Ghostbusters, actually, like in a really big way, and video games
Hmm.
too, oddly, because that was something that he loved. But everything I do with my creative life is sort of in honor of him. Like it's the things that we talked about making for years that I'm going to do for the simple fact that he's not here to do it with me. So anything we've ever talked about doing, even if it sounded impossible,
Mm.
I'm in the process and have been in the process of getting these things off the ground. So they're big mountains to climb, but here we are.
No, bless you for sharing that moment and uh, losing someone, a brother, is very hard. I still grieve over losing my best friend as well, and he would have loved to seen all of the stuff that I've been up to as well. And I do a lot of it because we spoke about it when we were younger. I lost Nabil in my early 30s, just as I came back into art again. And we talked, he was a writer, so we talked about,
Oh, I
we were
see.
big. He was a big fan of Big Trouble in Little China, fantasy, and we loved, like, we created our own characters based on what John Carpenter did, and we were big fans.
I love that.
And I mean, after he passed, it's the same thing. I always think of him when I'm at a movie premiere or when I'm speaking to somebody that I'd never thought I'd speak to as an artist as well. You we've broadened ourselves in the things we do. Social media has helped with that as well. But I always think of him, always think of him. And yeah, it's a great honor, a great tribute. He'll be proud of you, dude. He'll be so proud of you, honestly. Uh, I say that to myself. My wife tells me as well when I have my moments that, they're looking down and then they're proud of us, bro. So I'm proud of you. That's absolutely amazing. Uh,
It's important to remember that life is fragile. We're not here for a long time, and time is the most precious commodity that we have.
of
Time.
course. It's of course, of course, of course. Oh man. I suppose you listeners will relate, and questions will be asked as well. And I'm more than happy, as I said, reach out on your socials if you're going through something and you want somebody to listen. If it's not me who responds, it'd be my brother who responds. We're big advocates of mental health, men's mental health as well. So do the best we can to reach out there. But no, thank you for sharing that, Rob. That was absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
On the kind of subject of bringing your love back into Ghostbusters and what the episode's about, who was your favorite Ghostbuster and why do you resonate with that character?
See, that's tough. That's a tough question. I mean, they're all amazing for their different reasons, right?
Yes.
Um, I mean, all my friends grew up loving Peter Venkman because he was like the
Hmm.
way charming and stuff. Ray, I probably identified with the most, but
Hmm.
Winston and probably Ray and Winston, and then a close would be. It's so tough. Like that are all like I have in myself, and that
Hmm.
I can see in myself in that. But I think growing up, like Winston and Ray, I love
Hmm.
their relationship, their friends, their friendship. Ray was like this wide-eyed like dreamer. Winston, was just like the no bullshit like guy, like who was like he's great with cars and stuff. He
Yeah.
was a cool. He was like to me, Winston was the coolest of the Ghostbusters in my opinion. He was the absolute coolest. He just all chill,
Yeah.
like just like relaxed. Even in it always had great lines in like the really the most tense situations. Like when someone asks if you're a god, you say yes. Like he's the best, man. He's the best. But he and Ray, and I think the big one, the biggest reason Ray too, and Dan Aykroyd for that matter,
Mm.
is he came up with all of that. And when
Yeah.
I was growing up and found out that like came from him and like
Hmm.
all of his ideas and seeing like the concept art and stuff, I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And the thing is, I learned that later on uh, about what Dan Aykroyd and his family tree line and all of that stuff, and it's like, oh my God, amazing how he was able to bring that to this and how much it means to him as well. Like,
Yeah, his grandfather was a paranormal and specialist, so it was like a family business, which is funny because God, if I ever got a chance to make a Ghostbusters film, I
oh,
have a really good idea for a Ghostbusters film.
yes,
That
he does.
Tobin's spirit guide and
Mm,
Ray's father. Like
mm,
I want to do a thing that's like almost like a tribute to Aykroyd's dad,
mhm.
where or to Aykroyd's grandfather, where I have basically Ray's father ghostwriting the book that will become Tobin's spirit guide on the last night of John Horst Tobin's life. So it's cool. It's like it deals with like time travel and dark, Cthulhu like gods coming back. Evo Shandor is in it. Like I'm deep into the lore, so like I
That's
love the
amazing.
uh, Extreme Ghostbusters. I think is highly underrated. Real
Hmm.
Good is amazing. I'm glad to
Yes,
see that the new movie looks like it's taking some inspiration from the real Ghostbusters.
yes, that's that. I felt that as well. Uh, I mean, what did you think? I mean, you work on a franchise like this, and what they did with Afterlife, like
Perfect.
I've never seen like so many grown men sob in a cinema screen before in my life. But I was one of them, and I was proud to be one of them because uh, I just felt like it respected the originals uh, and didn't really take because we had the Ghostbusters where I felt like they got the piss. Somebody they had taken the piss out of the characters that I truly adore, and
I understand that. I
yeah,
understand that. I'm actually
yeah.
I'm a 2016 apologist because at the time when it came out, for me at the time when it came out, um, my niece who is on the spectrum, she has
Hmm,
autism
hmm,
and or she's autistic, and she that was something she got interested in was
hmm.
Ghostbusters. It was something I could go take her to see and everything, and the fact that it was all women, I was like, well,
Yeah.
this is empowering. I like this. obviously the movie wasn't perfect. It had lots of problems. It's not a perfect film. So
No, no,
Ghostbusters,
no, no. Hands down, it's not. It's a watch, but I just felt like they messed with. For me personally, it was the law, as you said.
yeah, I don't think they needed to create a new universe. They could have just
No,
had a set of Ghostbusters.
that's
I think
right.
that was the thing that bugged me the most. Or they could have, I always thought, if they're trying to do the real Ghostbusters, it would be interesting if there was some kind of plot thread at the end where there was like, this is the Ghostbusters from another dimension. Like, our guys are still out there, but there's some kind of cross rip that happens. I always thought it would be interesting, like, if at some point several Ghostbusters in several neighboring dimensions cross the streams at the same time, if it somehow created a shatter in the barrier that made all three universes come together at once. I thought it would be cool to see like the cartoon versions, the 2016, and our original guys all like merge. They did something like that in the comics, where they all kind of like merged together and like had an adventure together. But I always kind of in my heart of hearts, I was like, well, just because they made this doesn't take away that I had Ghostbusters 1 and 2. This is someone else's new version of what Ghostbusters is, who had no idea what it was before. So like I gotta respect that. It wasn't for me necessarily,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No.
I enjoyed it. I thought parts of it were funny. Plus, we got the first shades of Chris Hemsworth being funny. Like he
Yes,
hadn't
that's
done
right. That's right.
Marvel films yet, so like maybe some of what happened there led to what we got in Thor Ragnarok and stuff. So
True. Very true. Very true.
me,
Very true.
he can carry a comedy. He can do the comedy.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, without a doubt. But Ghostbusters Afterlife, like for me, knocked it out of the park. It's a movie I've seen several times. Great tribute at the end. And it's not that. I continuously go online just to watch that last scene again because of how it made me feel, because it, as much as it was emotional, it it still brought the kid out of me.
There's a there's a certain magic that movies can do, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of arguments about bringing people who have passed away back in films and things like that. I honestly think Ghostbusters Afterlife did it in a way that was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. They had the complete permission of the family. It
Mm,
wasn't bringing back Harold Ramis, it was bringing back the character of Egon Spengler.
that's right.
So that
Yeah.
it was very divergent in that regard. And it was like, it was so, when you wish for things as a kid so hard, like, and it's you wish, like, I don't know, you could meet the Ghostbusters or something, like something silly like that, right? That moment felt like a wish granted.
Hmm.
It really did.
100%. It really did. It really did.
For us as fans, for as a tribute to Harold. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Famous people when they pass away usually doesn't emotionally affect me very deeply. It doesn't like hit me really hard. But I was living in Chicago at the
Mm,
time when Amos passed away, and I burst out into tears. I couldn't stop. I couldn't figure out why. I grew up, single family or single mother, raised me and my twin sister. I didn't have a
mm,
dad. And in some ways, like the art that I grew up with, the comic books, the movies, that was those characters that I looked up to were like father figures to me.
hmm.
He was someone even outside of the movies, like the characters that he played, I admired. I admired his skill as a writer. I admired his skill as a director. I admired his skill
Yes.
as a writer. He just seemed like such a genuine person, like a really good guy. There's always there's something a lot of my friends are always like, and this is funny because they're like, you always put a dark spin on things, but I always tell people it's like being in this business. I meet a lot of famous people, and I meet a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time, and a lot of them, some of them are nice, but a lot of them they've had to work really hard to get where they get. They have to step on a couple of heads to get there, and that's not the type of person I am. But
Mm.
every now and again, there'll be a celebrity that'll be like the exception to the rule. Tom
Yeah.
Hanks is one of them. Michael J. Fox is one of them.
Oh my God.
He's Mark Hamill. I met
Yeah.
Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was probably the nicest person I have ever met in my entire life. It was at Comic Con, San Diego Comic Book Convention. He was there promoting the documentary. Did his comic book, the movie it was called.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a faux documentary about the comic book world. All the great voiceover actors were in it, like and stuff. And he was doing a panel signing for it. So he was, not going to be at the table the whole time. I was just up next in line, and his handler was about to take him away. And I was like, Mark, please, please, I waited my whole life. Can you wait 1 second? And he was like, he did this to he said, he turned to his assistant. He was like, hold on 1 second. He said, come on over. And he took 20 minutes, sat and talked with me, took pictures with me, he laughed. He was like, he was the most gracious human being you could ever imagine. Like, he truly was.
Amazing experience. Amazing experience.
All legends are true about that. He is in fact the most proudest man to be remembered as Luke Skywalker. He really is.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I had a similar experience with Michael J. Fox. 30th anniversary of Back to the Future. So I'm a massive Back to the Future fan. That is my go-to. And I remember they said that they were going to do the 30th anniversary here in the UK at a Comic-Con. As I go to the website to buy the tickets, the website had crashed. It was overloaded because everybody wants to meet Marty McFly. I was very upset. I couldn't get tickets. I checked on other websites. People were selling them for extortionate pricing. I ended up leaving it, and 2 weeks before the event was happening, I said I'll still go to the event. So I bought tickets for that. And I'll get to meet all the rest of the cast, Christopher Lloyd, Tom Wilson, Leah Thompson, get to meet the rest of the cast, just not Mikey. And then a friend called me, actually a friend of a friend called me, and this is how the universe works. And he called me and said, listen, I saw the drawing cartoon that you did for the 30th anniversary for Back to the Future. How would you like to hand that to Michael J. Fox? And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, we've got a panel, we're going to talk, but I thought it'd be nice for you to meet him because I've seen how much of a fan you are.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
I don't know this. It was a friend of a friend. I did not know. I've only met him once or twice in my life, and he gave me that opportunity, and it was surreal. And Michael J. Fox that day must have saw close to five 5,000 people. As you know, Comic Cons are so busy. That particular day was so busy, and to give me the 10 minutes he gave me, and then after he was like, "You're gonna get the photo in the DeLorean with me," and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening!" And it was like everybody at that show was calling him Marty. I was the only one that called him Michael, and he was like, "Thank you for treating me like a human," because some people just don't know that my name is actually Michael and it's not mine. But that was just because of the respect I had.
The Frighteners, when he kept saying Doc, that's one of the greatest stories ever. Where he's like supposed to say Judge, and he's like Doc.
Doc. So bless him, and he unbelievable. I spent the whole day there, and getting to meet the cast, and there are, as you said, there are amazing people. Like as you said, there are people that are, they go beyond, and MJ's one of them for me, and yeah, that was a great moment. But that must have been amazing with Mark Hamill. Must have been absolutely insane.
It really was, and I'll always be a Star Wars fan of the original trilogy. Like, I mean, I was born in '79. I grew up with Star Wars. Like,
yeah,
it was a part of my life. Back to the Future as well. I mean, I actually think it's interesting how lucky I would say we are for having grown up with some of these just such great, amazing franchises before franchises were like a thing.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
Trilogies were not the norm, right?
No,
like,
no.
So it was like, these types of multiple movie films, we were sort of at the birth of it for what it's become, not like the serials from the 40s or the 50s, that kind of thing. This was something where it was like, these were big budget movies. These weren't throwaway kids films. Back to Ghostbusters though, I did
Yes.
Ernie Hudson, he's the people's hero. Like, he just is. He's another one that, like, he will take the time and like, he'll go out of his way to give you a good experience. Like, he really does. And it's good to see him finally getting the due he deserves in the franchise.
Oh yeah, of course. Definitely.
A lot of people don't know this, but he was treated very poorly for the first two films. during the premiere of the first one, he wasn't even in the premiere. They made him go outside and dress up as a Ghostbuster and hang out with the fans. They treated him pretty unfavorably, and so it's
It's
great to see him become in this new movie and even see him back with a proton pack on, which is, oh God, it's just like the kid.
respects, absolute respect, absolute respect. I've been trying to meet Ernie for a while. He keeps canceling. Please come back to the UK. Definitely want to geek out with him.
They were there filming in your neck of the woods. Literally, they made Ghostbusters Frozen Empire there.
I know. They've used the studios here, and it was like he tried. I know he tried to do some of the cons, but I know that the times clash, and he had to cancel. But I bought his ticket every time. So Ernie, if you ever listen to this, I bought your ticket every time, and I didn't want the refund. I just wanted to meet you, dude. But with the with the love you have for this franchise, like when did you start like getting into building that beautiful piece of machinery behind you? Like that is insanely amazing. And I think
That
it's an art in itself to create and put things together. I mean, tell me a little bit about it, dude.
really is actually. Well, this is actually the second one I built. My first one was
Okay.
the first one I built was a spirit pack. It was a spirit of Halloween pack that I heavily modified. There's a blogging channel called Ghostbusters News in the community here. They featured it on their site. It now lives with my nephew. He is also a Ghostbuster. He's a ghost head now. I'm
Awesome.
about to just he's turning. I think he's turning 13, 14, 13, and he's growing quickly. So he's already 6 foot tall. I was like, dude, I got a flight suit for you. I already have one. He's the same height as me. Like, I was like, I got you covered. This is the second one that I built. That first one was called Frankie. This one's
Mm,
called Igor, and because it's really heavy. It's very heavy, but it is kind of an artwork. I got into doing this during COVID,
hmm.
actually. Um, and when I had a surgery last year on my spine. So getting ready for that, it became like my bonsai. It became my meditative thing. And I had sort of like spent all this time planning it out. I worked with different vendors to get parts. And actually, this shell was made in the UK. This is by a guy from a place called Ben of Kent. Um,
Ah,
he did the shell, and I've got some bits and bobs on here as well from a couple other UK vendors. Proton Props did my straps and my spacers. He's This guy named David. He's amazing, and his friend Toby, who's another guy who does Wertheimer hardware. He made my some of my electronics stuff. So actually, this thing comes from like kind of pieces all over the world. Like
it's
some of it
amazing.
I fabricated myself. Some of it was stuff that I had prefab kit, if you will,
Hmm.
that I bought. But some of like the electronics are all from Greece by a guy named Ninja Tunes. Like it's crazy. There's this community of people, and it's funny because I haven't been on Facebook for years, and I rejoined just to be a part of the Facebook groups, so I
Yeah.
could be a part of the builder groups, like and learn how to do this. And I've learned so much about these props, like how the evolution of the prop, like so much in fact that I now am the proud owner of a proton pack tattoo right here on my forearm for the listeners
Beautiful.
watching. This is actually Proton Props. This is David from the UK. This is his design of the Phoebe pack that I had my tattoo artist here in Ohio do.
That
I,
is
I
beautiful.
build, I'm a ever since building these things, it's like my favorite thing. I actually have a YouTube series that I'm developing right now
Awesome.
that we're going to focus on building proton packs and props from the Ghostbusters movies. It's called The Bench 84. And I'm doing it with my good friend Anthony Zart, who is the art director for both Ghostbusters documentaries, the Cleaning Up the Town and the one that they're working on right now called Too Hot to Handle,
Awesome.
Remembering Ghostbusters 2. Actually, also another UK connection. The director and producer of those movies are from the UK. That's Anthony and Claire Bueno, brother and sister team from the UK. But we are going to be doing that, and we're doing it with a good builder buddy of mine, Tom Morris from Positron. He makes the shells. He's designed. We're going to be building a Winston pack. We're going to
Nice.
do like basically. So this one is sort of like a compilation of all of the packs from all the
Hmm.
different. There's screen accuracy bits from different movies in here. So like the straps I have, we call them the super straps, to like extra padded straps for the proton pack to kind of help my back and stuff like that, but give me a little bit more
Hmm.
comfort when I'm wearing these things. But he is currently working on the shell, and we're going to do like a compilation pack of little bits from every movie that were on Winston's packs. And we're going to do a YouTube show about it, and we're going to feature other builders and makers from the community on the show. I want to have like a really nice, well produced television show, sort of like what Adam Savage does, but very Ghostbusters focused.
Yeah. That's absolutely awesome. Oh, guys, look at that! You're hearing more exclusives. I can't wait to share this channel. Super excited, and it's amazing how, because like it's beautiful. Like
Right.
it looks stunning, dude. Like some people, like when speaking to Jeff Rowe and talking to him about how messy art can be and how you translate art into onto the big screen. For me, when I see the Proton Pack, it speaks to me on different levels because it's not just the intricate designs, the details. Like you're like talking about minute details that represent something on a Proton Pack, which is it's just insane, dude. Uh,
It's nerdy. It's super nerdy. There's a gentleman named Stuart Thompson. I believe he's also UK based. I'll tell you what, the UK, you have got a massive community of Ghostbusters in the
yes, we
UK.
do.
There was an event. I had a T-shirt sent to me. There was an event at one of the cons recently. They did a big meetup called Cross the Streams
That's
at
right.
one of the cons, and they sent me one of the shirts.
Oh,
Uh,
bless him.
I swear to God, some of the guys, so Stuart Thompson has a website called the Ghostbusters Reference Library, where it's
Hmm.
literally detailed photographs of all the props, the suits. The suit I'm wearing is made by a maker who makes a ton of stuff. Magnolia Clothiers, they do Back to the Future stuff. You can actually get the hologram hat
Mm,
from
yeah.
Future from them. He makes these suits. It's just, there's one of the greatest things about being a part of any fandom is getting into the maker community of the
Oh,
fandoms.
yes.
Oh my God, like the skill and the talent that some of these people have. It's amazing some of them aren't working on films. I have a friend who is with the Central Oklahoma Ghostbusters. He built a Phoebe pack for Logan Kim from Ghostbusters Afterlife because he didn't get to wear a pack in the movie. So there's a podcast called the Yes Have Some podcast that commissioned him to make him a Phoebe pack. When I tell you this thing looks better than the one that they had in the movie, I'm like, I tell him all the time, his name's Austin Young. I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, how are you not making packs for these movies? You're so good. He was one of the, like, speaking of packs, the new
Mm,
movie has designs for the packs with the new cyclotron bumper and
yes.
a couple other things. He's already built one. He's already built one. It looks exactly like it does in the trailer. I'm like, dude, how are you not working on these movies? It blows my mind the amount of talent and love that there is in fandoms and the maker communities. I've found people that have become my best friends from
No, it's
Proton
amazing.
building. It's the best. I love it. I mean, your dream's probably to have a DeLorean.
I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. But yeah, as you said, the community. I think the community play a big part to any of the fandom. I know. I realized like the Back to the Future community, they they welcome you in. It's beautiful, regardless of what fandom you're from and what you enjoy. You make best friends out of it. The cosplay community, like
Oh,
wow, when
me.
I did Star Wars and it was my first cosplay after like 15 years, that uncomfortable feeling of am I in the right place? And how everybody welcomed me. And my Anakin suit was something I just bought off Amazon for like 40 quid. And I didn't know if it was going to be right, but I have a really cool lightsaber, and I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I've got an Luke Skywalker lightsaber. I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go with the lightsaber. I haven't done it in so long. I'm 42 years old, and how do I feel it? And everybody embraced me, dude. And again, for me, it was an emotional moment. Like I think I cried at the con because I didn't realize, when somebody says, "Can we take a picture with you?" And a lot of people knew that I added kicks, the Nike Air Jordans, to the Jedi suit. They were like, "You put a bit of yourself into it, which is absolutely amazing." Uh,
Yes.
so yeah, it's the community, man. They play such a big positive part to the fandom, and I think that's why it's just love. I love it.
It's
It's
nostalgic,
yeah.
something that when you were younger, people made fun of you for. And then you go to
Hmm.
these places. I'm 45 now. And it's like I go to these things and I do these different events and stuff dressed up as a Ghostbuster. And it feels so good. The joy, the pure joy
That's it.
that you see in people's faces
Yeah.
when the first time I dressed up as a Ghostbuster was for a filmmaker. It was a film community Halloween party. The commission that we have here that like is the liaison for all the productions coming through town. Um, put on a Halloween party and I dressed up and I had my spirit pack on. I even dyed my hair green to look like it was slimed. Uh, uh, we were standing by the bar and there was a group of guys coming out of the kitchen like dishwashers and stuff, and I saw them as they saw me. So I saw that look as they looked up, and it was like, regular face too. And then the fingers come up pointing, and then they start dancing, like, Ghostbusters, and it's like that. It's like such a human connection moment because it's so
It
beautiful
is.
because it's like it makes you feel good, it makes them feel good. It's a bright spot in both of your day, and it's like you don't know what someone else has been dealing with or what.
Exactly.
I love all the cosplay groups that dress up and go to hospitals. I wish I was able to do that.
Oh, it's
It,
it's it's an amazing thing. Amazing,
it's
absolutely amazing.
it's the power of imagination and the power of creativity and the power of story and the power of sharing a love for those things. Man, I swear to God, we wouldn't have half the problems in the world if we all just went, "Hey, you like Batman? I like Superman. Oh my God, we like the same things." Like, think of all the conflicts that are happening in the world right now. If they could just stop, sit down, sit Indian style on the ground, cross their legs and just go and just say, "Hey, I like Superman. Do you like Superman?" Just let us all be kids for a minute because all we are is just kids in grown up
Oh
bodies.
yeah, of course, of course, of course. My wife says the same thing, and
It's
it's
true.
uh it's so true. It's so
Your wife,
true because we connect. Yeah. uh, Do you know what? You're talking about the cosplay community because you brought up a story a couple of years ago, just before COVID. I went to a Comic Con and there was a guy. So I'm a big fan of the late 80s and 90s manga when it came out. So Akira, Fist of the North Star. So Fist of the North Star, there's a character called Lord Jaggy, which was Kenshiro's younger brother, who betrayed him. Very cool post-apocalyptic Mad Max type of look.
yeah.
And I've never seen anybody cosplay any anime characters from my era. I've seen Akira, but not Fist of the North Star. Fist of the North Star did something to me. This guy cosplayed as Lord Jaggy, and when I came up to him, he goes, "You are the first person in the con to know who this character is." I think I sat with him for 2 hours and we exchanged details, we took photos, we talked about Fist of the North Star. We're still friends to this day.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It made
That's
his day. Made his day.
it's so funny, and I've heard people say this before. If the world could all just go to a Comic Con for a day and just intermix, like you'd realize that like we're all the same. We're all nerds.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
all have our geeky little things that we love and stuff, and you should be proud of it. We're
Oh
like
yeah,
proud of who you are, no matter what you are, who you are. Like, be proud of who you are. Wear that proudly. You
yeah,
know, it's
exactly.
it's just it. I don't understand why people want to put people down for loving something or being who they are. It makes no sense to me. Zero sense.
Hmm.
Zero
No, of
sense.
course. I totally agree with you, dude. And this is a deeper conversation we can get into, and which I will definitely have Rob back on the Brothers Geek Out podcast because
We have a lot
we've
going
got
on.
we've got so much in common, and plus we've got projects on, guys.
We've got
We've got
something.
projects, and like we got something, and like we're gonna wait because I'm gonna tease you guys because it'll be the best way to get you guys back to the channel because be like Kibler said that he's working on the project. What do we want to know? So yes, you'll get teasers towards the beginning of next year, but for now, I think it'll be awesome to kind of keep a secret. I'm actually been working on several projects and recently got involved into this boxing movie, speaking to a cosplayer who talked about actually, it's a movie inspired by a podcast I had with a cosplayer who uses boxing to help his mental health. He almost committed suicide. He started boxing, which revitalized his life, but he still had a struggle in between that. But how he used boxing with mental health. But it was inspired. A director saw that episode. He wrote a script. He sent it to the guy. The guy's an actor. A year
I love
later, we're making a film.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so amazing. This community brings people together. I'll give you guys a hint
yeah.
for the movie. It involves Cleveland. That's all I'll say. It involves Cleveland, and Kib's going to travel abroad. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'll say. But we've worked out.
Absolutely amazing.
It's a
Yeah,
big
no,
deal.
it is a big deal. It's a massive deal. It's still an unreal moment for me because as you said, we're kids that live in adult bodies. Getting to like we've embraced pop culture and things that we love. It's become a part of my life, my DNA, my family, and everything I do for work. It still revolves of those fundamental things that I absolutely love and adore. And it's got us to a point now where it's like I'm actually getting to do a lot of things that I love now, and that I can transcend that to my kids and tell them you could do all the stuff that you love and enjoy now as an adult.
Just be who you are. Let it
Yes.
let it out there. Be proud of who you are. Love the things you love. Do what you do, and the things will find you. When you
Hmm.
put yourself out there and you're brave enough to say, "Hey, I love this," or I stand with this," or "I am this person," people who are like you will find you. They will
Hmm.
find and you will be a part of a community, and that community could be end up becoming a huge part of your whole life. And it's like I just I can't state it enough. I just think dreaming is the most important thing in this world. I think dreaming is
Mm.
the absolute most important thing. It's how everything that exists became something. It started as an idea in somebody's head.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Oh man, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Rob, what a pleasure, man, and it's always nice to catch up with you. But properly kind of talk about this stuff is it's inspiring to hear. Uh, and with as you said, with all the craziness that is happening, that I have some sort of peace in, as you said, what I'm proud of, what I love, and what I enjoy. Uh, but I do have another question for you, dude.
sure, yeah.
So with Ghostbusters, it has a mixed bag of like comedy, horror, supernatural elements. What was the aspect that grabbed you?
I think what grabbed me was the fact that these guys were like normal dudes and they were up against incredible odds. As a kid, I was scared of a lot of things,
Hmm.
and Ghostbusters sort of gave me the permission to be brave. And Harold Ramis did an interview about this once and talked about how when Ghostbusters came out, they had gotten a lot of letters from child psychologists saying that this movie and this cartoon is giving kids bravery. They sleep with their little plastic proton pack, and they feel like they can take on anything.
That's
Like
amazing.
they put that little uniform on. You see that logo on your shoulder, and it's like you're official. You can handle this. And
Hmm.
I think that was something that connected with me. It was the fact that these guys could have been me, even
Hmm.
like as a grown up or a lot the grown ups I saw around me. It's like that looks like my dad's friend, kind of thing. Like they seemed like normal guys, and they were able to overcome insurmountable odds. And I love that. I always love those kinds
Of
of
course.
stories.
It's a great ensemble of characters that are everyday, guys and go through everyday things, but yet get to do these crazy, supernatural, awesome things. And bravery comes along with that because Winston was on a journey in that movie as well because he's he out of all of them, he's not the scientist, he's the ordinary guy coming looking for a job, and he's like, I'll do it. But he has some key moments in both movies where proper fish out of water moments where he's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
He's the audience. He says what the audience is thinking, and I love that. I always love that about him. Like, you're damn right. I feel exactly the same way. Like, that was it. Just I think it's a perfect storm. That movie is a perfect storm of talent. It was a
It
perfect
is.
storm of writing and creativity, and Bill Murray at the peak of Bill Murrayness. He just. I mean, like I said, even though Venkman was not my favorite, he's a classic character.
Of
He
course,
truly.
yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. He's uh each of them have something that they carry that represents us. And he's, as you said, the charming ladies man with some incredible charm. And he plays it so well. I mean, Bill Murray, as you said, he was at his peak. He has some amazing one-liners in that film that still make me laugh to this day.
And
And his reactions are awesome.
they came off the top of his head.
That's
Half of
amazing.
the script he threw out. He improvises 50% of that movie. That's not
That's
even a joke.
amazing.
They did a table reading. Sometimes they do these for charity,
Mm.
like they'll get actors to do a table reading. It was like Seth Rogen and a bunch of the Apatow people did a table reading of Ghostbusters '84, and they were like, half the dialogue from the actual movie isn't even in the script because they were just improvising. That's how at the top of their game those guys were, and coming from Second City and all these improv troops and stuff,
Mm.
to be able to just do that. And it was like the perfect it was the perfect idea. I still think to this day the smartest thing they ever did was make it approachable from the point of view of these guys are basically like plumbers.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
They're not
exactly.
cops, they're not like there's no violence involved, right? These
Yeah,
things look like weapons, they look like tools. And
yeah, yeah.
I love that they're not
That's
weapons.
that's that's amazing that you've approached it in that way because it's it just grounds it,
Yeah,
and it
totally.
grounds the characters. Yeah, it just grounds them, and as you, oh man, you put it that in such a perfect way that we would just call them. They're plumbers, they're emergency service. You know.
That's why I love the new proton packs. The new proton
Yes.
packs with yellow bits, it's like it's safety equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel like it's a gun. It doesn't
No,
feel
no,
like threatening. I
no.
love heroes that don't need guns to like do what they need to do. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed John Wick. The absolute amazing choreography. Dread is one of my favorite movies. Like, I love that kind of stuff. But like my favorite kind of heroes are the ones that don't use guns, and the
No,
ones that
of
use
course.
brains and their skills and
Yes.
the tools and the talent.
It's so important. Tools and talent is so important. It's so important. Uh, okay, I've got one more question, and this one's a bit different. So, if you could assemble your own team of Ghostbusters with fictional characters from other franchises,
Ooh,
who would you choose and why?
God, that's a good question. Well, I think the first and most obvious one would be Doc Brown.
Okay,
Doc Brown.
cool.
I would put him as like the science guy on the team. Um, I think Ian Malcolm would also make a good Ghostbuster.
Very cool.
I think he would make like a good Venkman Ghostbuster kind of vibes.
I like that.
Let me think here. You know, just because I always wanted Eddie Murphy in a Ghostbusters movie, like we were promised, I would like to see Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop being a
Oh, what?
movie. That would be really funny. I just think it'd be funny to see Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley. Be like,
Yes,
why am I this
definitely. Without a doubt.
And then one more. Let me think. Oh, that's tough. Um, God, fictional character from another movie. Oh God, you ask You asked a
Sorry,
really,
bro.
man. You asked an amazing question. I want to give somebody good here. You know what? The mom from Poltergeist, Jo Beth Williams.
Oh, wow.
She'd be really good. I think she would be really good, and it would balance out the team a little bit. I think she would be interesting, or even Zelda from Ghostbuster from Poltergeist. She'd be really funny. I feel like in that. This house is clean. Um, just off the top of my head, purely. Although I think Quint from as an honorary member, Quint from Jaws would make a good Ghostbuster as
Oh
well.
my God.
I'm trying to go outside of the box here on these.
Which is amazing. I had Jack Burton on that list. I could imagine Jack Burton on that list. They're
he
just the
would
dynamics of it.
he would make an amazing Ghostbuster. So would absolutely. Kurt Russell to me is good in anything he's in.
He is.
There's a
He is.
rumor. There's a rumor. There's a rumor. There's a rumor that he is playing Jonathan Kent in Superman Legacy, and I got to tell you, I think that's perfect casting. The only other person I would cast for Jonathan Kent would be Dennis Quaid.
Oh, that's one I had in my mind as well. And but Kurt Russell. Oh man, I can see it. I can see him as Park Kent. I can so see it.
I know, right? And like him, like lean like that iconic shot from the comic books where he's leaning against the fence with Clark when he's grown up and they're sharing stories. That bit, I could see
Oh
that
my
like
God.
there. I could see some like Superman for all season stuff there.
Oh, that's gonna be insane, dude. Absolutely insane.
Yeah,
James is a visionary. I've been lucky enough to speak to him during before the promotions of Peacemaker. I think he's great with characters. He's a character type of guy. I've loved everything he's done. So I think he's going to be absolutely amazing. And I want him to direct a Ghostbusters one day.
I want to see Edgar Wright make a Ghostbusters movie.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. That would be actually really good.
He
That would
is
be
he is my favorite director living right now. Edgar Wright and Jordan Peele are my two favorite living directors right now. That are
absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely
Edgar
amazing.
everything he makes is absolutely brilliant. Scott Pilgrim is an underrated piece of
Oh,
art.
so underrated. And it's not even that, it's the elements of anime and manga that he brought into that as well. It was something we don't get much of it because we do live in a world of franchises, and I know there's all this madness going on with the Marvels and all the rest of it, and MCU and DC and stuff like that. But I just feel like originality, like he brings that to the table, and he did
Always.
that with Scott Pilgrim. Like it was insanely good, and you know what, with what Gareth Andrews did with the Creator, is not been it's another movie, but for me personally, when I did see it, it was an original good movie and a great concept. Uh,
Original. I really am. I love Ghostbusters. That's my franchise.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's one of the last franchises they can still do original things in because
yes,
there's no like lore that they have to necessarily like adhere
no,
to. There's the comic books, but there's a very small group of people who've read the IDW comic books and stuff,
mm,
and the Dark Horse stuff. So like, there's they can kind of go wherever they want with that, and I like
of
that.
course, of
I
course.
love all this. I love new original, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. My
Oh,
that movie. We need more movies like that.
yes,
Give me
please, yes,
like
please,
that. Give me
yes,
more stuff
please.
that is so far outside of the box. I want the weird dreams that kids have in their heads. I want to see that stuff. I've done film camps with kids, and the stories they come up with, I swear to God, like they come up with the weirdest stuff. It is the best. And that to me is one of those, the Daniels, like they captured the essence of imagination as a child through an adult lens.
Oh
Like
yeah, of course.
they took something that was very like out there and wild and seemed crazy, and they grounded such a family story that we could all relate to, right?
So good, so
That
good.
generational trauma of living the same, of having it hard and not and wanting, oh God, it's so good, so good.
Dude, again, another movie that made me come out of the cinema absolutely in tears. But not
Say,
just because. how good the story was written and how we related to the story. It was the creativity, the visuals, the acting, the return of Key. Oh my God, like just
It's good, right? Like
so good.
it's like eating a good four-course meal versus a Pop-Tart. That's that seeing a good film or reading a good book or reading a great graphic novel or admiring a beautiful painting or listening to an amazing song. Like it's the difference between pop stuff and product is the difference
Mm,
between a Pop Tart and a four-course meal.
of
It's like
course.
a crazy movie. Beautiful. Every bit you're gonna want to you want leftovers of that. Like you're gonna go back and watch it again. It's like that's the I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that type of thing in franchise films. And I know James Gunn was talking about the fact that like they want to have more individual visions
Mhm.
instead of a cohesive universe.
Of
They want
course.
something that's more focused on each individual film and the vision behind the filmmaker for that film than just throwing out some big continuity thing,
You don't need to.
right?
You don't need to. Uh,
No, you really don't. You don't.
we
I don't
don't.
know
We don't.
to this place. Listen, I love Marvel and I enjoy the stories that they tell, but it's kind of putting us in this place where everything has to be connected.
Mm.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
It's like Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Like, give me more of that stuff because it's not connected and I will absolutely adore it. It's recently on Disney Plus with in color. I still love black and white though, but
Black and white too. Yeah.
amazing, beautiful, absolutely amazing. Give me
Yeah.
that. Give me that all day long. Weird, wonderful, and creative, and doesn't need to be connected. And I adore that to this day. The two favorite products that came out from last year Halloween was Werewolf by Night and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like I absolutely adore, and it's stuff like that. I'd love. I want to see the weird and wonderful, man. And
Yes.
A24 as an independent company is starting to bring out more stuff as well and more create things. And I'm glad they are because it's the movies that I'd stand by because The Whale was amazing. Brendan Fraser's performance in that was insane. Uh,
That
and
movie
the,
was gut punch.
yeah, of course, definitely. But it's just great writing, great acting. I want to be taken away, dude. And those movies took me away. But everything
Tell
all
me,
at once just gave me everything I love in one place.
tell me a story that quiets my mind. That's what I want. Tell me a story that like removes all distraction, engage me in a way that I can't not pay attention. I can't
Exactly.
not put my phone down and silence it. I want to be demanding
Exactly.
of my attention. And all the stuff that we're talking about does that. It really,
Mm.
truly does. There was one movie that was, I don't know that it's this high of art, but that was a streaming film that I feel like I have to mention because a lot of people
Go
didn't
for
see
it.
The Atom Project. Did you see
Oh,
this?
dude. Director Shane Levy.
Sean
No,
Levy,
Sean
yeah,
Levy. Sean Levy. Yes. Yeah, dude.
Deadpool, yep. It was one of those movies that like kind of hit on all the things I loved as a kid, but felt fresh.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Uh,
And,
very, very
and
good take. Fantasy, science fiction, all in one. It's movies like The Last Starfighter, Labyrinth, Never Ending Story. You're talking about the explorers. He had those elements in a
you named
movie.
all of my favorite movies, like right there. The Last Starfighter is I'll be honest with you, I like it more than Star Wars. I do.
It's
And
a
it's
great
because
film.
I love that story, the kid from a trailer park. Like it's so different than
Of
anything
course.
I saw in that era. It has those elements of like copying Star Wars, but it's more of a King Arthur story.
Oh
It's more
yes. Oh
of a
yes.
story,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
Just the Music Man in it, Centauri, the whole Rylos, my boy. Like I love that. I absolutely adore that movie. And it was
Great movie.
directed by Michael Myers himself, Nick Castle. The guy who played the Shape in the original Halloween directed that.
Exactly. Exactly. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a great film. And he had those in the Adam Project. He had that feel of I felt like the feel of 80s and like early 90s movie making magic in that
It
moment.
a lot of Flight of the Navigator.
Oh,
Um, like the
another one.
feelings I would get from the time travel aspect of that movie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
It,
that's
it
right.
the script was very well written. That
It
was a very
was
well written
definitely.
fantasy sci-fi script. And if anyone hasn't seen it, we highly recommend the Adam
Go check
Project.
it. Go. You have to watch it. The Adam Project was brilliant. So good. Flight of the Navigator. Oh my god. Another one with a great soundtrack. Oh,
Dude, you brought up Explorers. Explorers is
oh,
a
dude,
classic.
man. That's like Ethan Hawke's first movie, I think.
It is. It is his first
Yeah,
movie.
it's
It
his
was in
first movie. Yeah, yeah.
River Phoenix as well.
Yes, that's right. River Phoenix. Great. That's a great. I still watch that to this day, dude. Like,
I we have a movie. We have a movie club that we do, and
yeah.
I brought that and made everybody watch, and they were like, "How did we not? This is like, did Stranger Things like rip off a bunch of stuff in this?" Like, I was like, there's a lot of movies from the 1980s that they definitely pulled from for Stranger Things.
Of
This is
course, yeah. That's one
like,
of them. Exactly. That's exactly one of them.
oh god, another good one from the 80s. My Science Project.
Oh
Uh,
my God,
Mr. Stevens. Oh my God, totally
dude.
underrated. Dennis Hopper. It's a classic, absolute classic. Like weird premise. I need to come up with a science project for school the next day for my hippie teacher, played by Dennis Hopper. Let's go to an Air Force graveyard and get an alien motor. They find an alien like engine for a ship, and it like turns their high school into a time portal. Like,
Dude.
come on, there are
Such a creative. Oh my God. Such a.
I swear to God, the B movies of the 80s shaped my entire taste for what I like. It was like choose your own adventure books, 80s movies. Like, it was just the weirdest, wildest stuff. And I am not a person who is a proponent of drugs, but I swear to God, I think it was the cocaine. All of that cocaine, like, I think just let people go, yeah, I'll give you money for that insane idea. Like, it was just a bunch of people who had a lot of money and they were just blowing it like crazy, and creatives took advantage of it. Good for
Oh,
them.
it's insane. Absolutely insane. You know what, Rob? I gotta get you back on the show again. Uh,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna. Yeah, we've got so much in common, and we've got a history of cinema that we could talk about because it's nice because a lot of the times I talk to people about movies like explorers, like you're probably one of five people that remember that.
It's an
I
amazing,
mean,
it's so genre defying. It's like part sci-fi adventure, part comedy. It's got a
yeah,
little bit of drama. It's a coming of age film. And then it's
yeah,
like got an aspect of Looney Tunes to it. Like it's amazing. The alien designs in that movie
so
are
cool,
insanely incredible. Joe
so
Dante is one
cool.
of my favorite directors. He directed Gremlins. That's what people are
Yes, that's right. Yep.
most familiar of it with him with. I my dude, we could probably have a whole separate podcast that's just about
Dude,
80s.
you know what? You've just sparked another idea because me and my brother have been talking about we do retro trailer reactions. We used to do that, but
Oh,
we
that's
want to we used to react to old trailers and be like, okay, some of it worked, some of it didn't, but we wanted to run an episode where we talk specifically about that one movie for an hour or two to explore it, to talk about it and why we loved it and what it meant to us. We start in the first episode, so it would be called it's a tribute to Labyrinth. That was a film that my dad introduced to us, and you know, me us as a family, I think we all adore that movie because whenever we all sit together, and if we say let's put on a movie, we put on Labyrinth.
I
So
love
it's one of those moments, key moments for us. If not, if we are sitting with dad, it's the good, bad, and ugly. He's a big spaghetti western fan. And I adore that movie as well. I love the visuals. The visuals in that film is just insanely good. Like everything that we see now is just lifted from all those beautiful movies that came out in that era, and it's amazing to see it. Being inspired for new movie makers moving forward to take inspiration from those films, and it's amazing. But Rob, honestly, massive pleasure, and thank you for coming on to the episode. And where can the lovely people find you, dude, and follow your journey?
You can pretty much follow me the most is on Instagram at Late Morning Films. that's where I pretty much post most of my stuff.
Hmm.
Then there's my website, latemorningfilms.com. It's got a lot of my work up there. And if people go to the website, they'll figure out what we're working on. So, it's not that hard to figure out, but that's where they can find me, and they'll be seeing me in the future doing some stuff with you and some of your UK geeky cohorts as well.
Oh yes, definitely, without a doubt, without a doubt, definitely, definitely. I'm actually meeting one of them now, so we've got we've been invited to, so Park Row is the Gotham-based restaurant that they have in the UK. So they've created a new kind of section to it. It's called the Iceberg Lounge. So it's based on the Penguins.
Yeah,
So tonight's like one of their grand openings. So I'm gonna run down there. So check it out on online, guys. I'll have it up on my Instagram page as well and all the other socials. But it should be interesting. It's like a sushi bar. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
a I'm a big fan of sushi, so that worked out perfectly for me. So that should be good.
That's great.
No, definitely. But Rob, again, massive, massive thank you for coming onto the channel. We've got more to talk about, and yes, guys, keep an eye. If you do go to the website, yeah, you will see what we're talking about. So go check it out, honestly. And guys, again, as always, a massive, massive, massive thank you from me and my brother for the support on the channel, for the support on social media platforms. I get to do stuff that I absolutely love and adore, and it's because of you guys. Recently on Spotify, since they've opened up Q&As and their polls, you guys have been engaging immensely, and I'm going to apologize now if I haven't got back to your message. I will get to it. It's quite hard when you're hearing, when you see 300 messages and you're like, oh wow, like I need to actually filter through it. So I will get to your messages, but as always, me and my brother are always grateful. Rob, thank you for coming onto the show, and guys, be safe, be well, look after one another, be excellent to each other, and we'll catch you up in the next episode. One love. Peace.
I'm telling you, it's going to be another hot one out there. In fact, there are heat alerts in effect for New Jersey, feeling like 100 degrees.
What is that?
For the first time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July.
What is it?
The death chill. The power to kill by fear itself. Your veins turn to rivers of ice. Your bones crack. And the last thing you see is your own tear ducts freezing up.
Like, literally scared to death? So cool.
Okay, it looks pretty good. I don't know what else to say. It looks pretty good.